Hey everyone, it's Michelle, the Dreaming Dilettante, and in today's video we're going to be making some really sweet Valentine's paper clips to embellish our planners and journals. So let's get started. Okay, so some of the items that you're going to need to make these, you're going to want a glue stick, you're going to want some cardstock, some paper clips. I'm pretty sure I just got these at the Dollar Tree. These are some colored paper clips, but you can use regular ones as well. Then you're going to need some embroidery floss, some thread. This is just regular sewing thread. Of course, you'll need some needles, a pair of scissors. I used some fleece to make these little hearts, but felt would work as well. And then some scraps of fabric. I'm pretty sure that's everything that you're going to need. Okay, so to start out, I'm going to start off by making the heart shape. Now you can make your heart shape any size you want. I'm going to try to keep these fairly small. And I'm just cutting a piece of cardstock. This would be a great project to use, a little scrap cardstock if you have it laying around. And I'm just gonna fold it in half this, and I'm gonna freehand a heart. Now, if you don't feel comfortable freehanding a heart, of course you could download an image offline, but it's really just a simple shape here. And then you can tweak it until you're happy with the size. I kind of lost my heart part there, so I'm going to just go a little bit. And yeah, I'm happy with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this heart. So I have two of the exact same. Now I have a scrap fabric here that I've pulled out. You can use scrap fabric, you can use scrap paper. So if you don't have a fabric stash, that's fine too. I'm going to be doing some more Valentine's Day projects with my scraps. So if you like the idea of using that kind of stuff, then you'll definitely want to, I'll be sure to post those soon. So now what I'm going to do is I prefer some tacky glue for this, but I don't have any, so I'm going to use my Craft Crate stick, which is a permanent glue stick, and see how that works. And then I'm just going to glue my fabric scraps right side up onto the heart. Okay, and let's see what else I have here. I'm going to use some of these brighter pinks. So if you sew, this might be a nice way to use up, especially if you've just finished a project and you have a bunch of little scraps laying around. This is a great way to use them up. And I'm just going to continue to fill my heart with my different fabric scraps. And you could do this with ribbon if you wanted to. You could do this, as I said, with paper, which might be better. I'm not sure how this Scotch stick is going to hold up, but I am going to stitch it too, so I think it'll be all right. I think I'm going to use some of this. I love this fabric. Isn't it pretty with the polka dots here? I made a purse out of it, and this was the lining. I used this as the lining of the purse. So I'm going to just cut off a strip on that end there. And it's got the natural fraying. And of course you don't have to tear yours if you don't like that. And as you see, of course the fabric's hanging over, but that's okay, because we're going to stitch and trim that up as well. And this is a fun project you could do with kids. If you're looking for a fun little Valentine's Day craft to do with your kids, this would be a lot of fun. And you could do it with construction paper and just markers, and they could just decorate the heart if they wanted to, or you could have them paint paper and then cut out the heart. So at this point you can go ahead, and I'm going to grab a better pair of scissors just to cut around this. And I'm just trimming off all the excess fabric. Okay, and then I'm going to take my other heart and do the same thing. Now I have my two hearts, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little stitching around them, but I'm going to leave the bottom open because that's where I'm going to put my paper clip. So you're going to want to think about where you're going to put yours, and you can try it out. You don't have to stitch around them, of course. That's just something that I'm going to do because I think it'll give a little fun interest. Now you could do that on your sewing machine, but I'm actually going to hand stitch it. So there is one little paper clip done. So it's still a little loose, but it holds onto there, so I think that's fine. If you hot glued it, it would stay perfectly in place. But isn't that sweet? And it's a great way to use up scraps. It doesn't require much time or many supplies. So let's go on and make a few more. And so this one, I just used embroidery floss to go all around it, and I did a solid piece of fabric on each one. So there's really so much you can do with these. So the last one we're going to make is this little guy, and these are really simple to make. I hand stitched it using embroidery floss, and then I just used some fleece that I had. You could use felt as well, and then I designed the eyes and the mouth and everything using some embroidery floss. So you could, if you didn't want to hand stitch it around, you probably could hot glue it, but it's a fun little hand stitch project, so why don't we get started? So the first thing I did was I just took a little scrap piece of fleece that I have here, and using the same idea, I just cut myself a heart, folded the fabric in half and cut out a heart just like we did with the others. So now I have 2 hearts that are pretty much the same, and using this material is pretty forgiving, so the way I stitched it around, you were not going to notice if they're a little bit off. Then I'm going to do the eyes and the mouth and the eyebrows. So for the eyes, I just basically did 3 lines. So I came in through the back, and I'm using all 6 strands of embroidery floss. And then I went back through the front so that you have just a little line. And then I did another one slightly smaller to the right. So a little shorter than the one I did initially. And these don't have to be exact because obviously it's going to give it a different personality and a different character each time you make one. And then the same thing on the other side. Just trying to keep the stitches somewhat close together to give us a little eye. And then for the eyebrow, I just did 3 stitches kind of in a bit of an arc. Now the fleece that I'm using, you can't see the embroidery floss behind it. It's not shadowing, so that's just something to keep in mind if you're using something that might be a little thinner. I'm actually going to just use 2 stitches here as an eyebrow because I think that'll be enough. Yeah. And then I'm going to tie it off and do the same for the second eye. And then for the mouth, I'm just going to do basically 3 little stitches. Okay, and then for the little blush that I did on the cheeks, I just used a Crayola marker for this project because it's going to be a paper clip. I wasn't too worried about it being overly permanent. And you could use something else if you wanted, but just did that and give them a little blush. And so the next thing is I'm going to take the 2 hearts, and then I just did a stitch all the way around. You could do whatever stitch you prefer, but I'm just going to do a blanket type stitch all the way around. So now I'm just stopping with about that much open still, and I just left my needle in there, and I'm going to stuff it with a little of this toy stuffing or polyfill, I think it's called. You can use whatever you have on hand. These are so small you could probably even use like little scraps of fabric if you wanted to. You just don't want to make it too heavy that it won't stay upright on the paper clip. And then once you get it stuffed the way you want, you can finish stitching it up and put your paper clip in place. So to make the little bow, I just took a scrap piece of fabric and tied it up. Now you could use any kind of bow if you have some already. You could use ribbon for this. You don't have to use fabric, of course. And just kind of made it to the size that I thought looked okay. And then just trim it off. It's a little big. And and then sew it on. And I just used regular thread to sew it on. So here are a few of the little paper clips that we made. And I'm going to show you one last really simple, fun one that you probably have seen before and know how to make, but I love making these. And that is where you just take a, let's see if I have another piece of scrap here. And you just take a piece of fabric and you lay it over the front and you bring it, you see what I'm doing here? So you bring this piece through and then you do the same on this side. And then you just pull up at the top and now you have a little flag paper clip. So these are just a few that you could make if you wanted to jazz up your planner here. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer you. There's also a link to the accompanying blog post which has some more information in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you all next time. Take care.